Uh, Today, I think the day dedicated to identities. Most of the sessions will deal with identity, with education, what is to be a Jew today in Germany. When we wanted to distribute the idea, it wasn't, we didn't have yet the program yet. The idea of the conference, we asked one of the YEKES organizations to help us. And the woman that is in charge of the YEKES Museum in Tefen heard about the conference. Dina talked with her, and she reacted something like, it's a second-hand, Dina heard her personally, sorry, they are not Germans. I deal only with the Germans, the real Germans, the Yekes. They are Russians. Russians. They are from Russia. Okay. So no German, they are Russians. So, of course, I don't know if Professor Porat said you are speaking nonsense, but definitely it is, because we should wait enough time, they will be Germans, not Russians anymore. So, and yesterday, I think Dr. Breyer, that had to leave this morning, spoke about the Hessen state and about the proportions between new immigrants, 1 to 10, to the original or veteran German state. And she spoke about the idea of integration in Germany. Actually, I felt that she has not the solution yet, but or the German state didn't have or doesn't have the solution yet. But today we'll start to deal with this situation. So the session called German Jews or Jews in Germany, and it's a dilemma. So firstly, who is a Jew? Naturally, there are different opinions on this issue, at least as a number of participants in this conference. In our context, and as a basis for the upcoming discussions on identities, I chose the simplest answer. A Jew is one that considers himself as a Jew or is being considered as such by others. It's enough for me for the time being. The simplest way to define what is Germany today is to associate to the area surrounded by its boundaries. But who are the contemporary Germans that this dilemma of German Jews or Jews in Germany is referred to? When we deal with the identity and integration, we should not only study the question of the Jew as a kind of minority that should be changed in order to be part of an existing society, but also what does it mean to be a German today. An ethnicity defined by genes or by blood or by bio, Deutsche, to be a bio? No, it's a question. I like bio yogurt, but what is bio Deutsche? And Julia will speak about it, or please mention what you told me yesterday about the bio. We are bio Deutsche. It's very common in Germany, I also from Julia. Or a civic nation of all its citizens that is being defined by laws of citizenship, or maybe the meaning of being a German in today's liberal world means that no formal and familiar definition, like religion or blood, is a major factor in itself and public identity. So people should be and are defined only by cultures or by subcultures that they choose to be part of, or even defined by their food, like Julia, and I think in a different way also me were research about it. So the first lecture, the first speaker is Mrs. Edna Herlinger. She was born in Israel, grew up in Germany. She is a PhD student at the Department of Cultural Anthropology at the Goethe University of Frankfurt am Main. MA in Cultural Anthropology, Education and Jewish Studies at the Goethe University in Frankfurt. Graduated students in anthropology at Yale University. Research fellow at the Ernst Ludwig Ehrlich Studienwerk and the Kantor Center for the Study of Contemporary European Jewry. Working experience in various Jewish museums in Germany and the US, at the American Jewish Committee in Berlin, and for the Central Welfare Council of the Jews in Germany. And the floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Haim, for this nice introduction. Dear Dina Porat, dear ladies and gentlemen, this conference asks very important and intricate questions regarding contemporary Jewish life in Germany. It asks for its achievements and challenges of the Jewish communities, for the consequences for sustainable Jewish life in the future. What does it mean to be Jewish in 21st century in Germany? What constitutes Jewish identity? I want to try to give a few answers to these very complex questions. My presentation is based on research results that I generated for my dissertation. And I want to stress the word generate here, since I conducted an empiric research with many interviews and participant observations in order to get to know my protagonist's point of view. All in all, I interviewed 62 young Russian Jews for my dissertation. In the next minutes, you will get to know one of these people and her own personal perception of what it means to be Jewish in Germany today. But let's start from the beginning. How was the situation in Germany back in the early 1990s? About 220,000 Jews from the former Soviet Union migrated to Germany. They came together with their non-Jewish family members as well. Today, approximately 100,000 Jews are members in about 100 Jewish congregations all over Germany. It is very important to notice, Germany has the fastest growing Jewish community in Europe. So who are these Russian-speaking Jews, you would ask, who tripled the membership of Jewish communities in the last 2 decades? In the last years, a lot has been discussed about the high proportion of secular-oriented Jews from the former Soviet Union and their impact on the so-called push of secularization within the communities. Yet a close look at the contemporary Jewish society reveals a different, a very heterogeneous demographic structure. It is characterized by a relatively balanced relation between religious and non-religious oriented Jews. The majority of Jews in Germany is neither clearly Orthodox nor secular. Whereas one can find a high diversity in religious attitudes, it is interesting that more than 2/3 of the community members define themselves as non-religious. So are the Jewish communities in Germany mainly secular, you would ask? Current developments draw a different picture. In the last years, especially religious Jewish life has begun to flourish and to strengthen itself. What makes this visible are expansions of existing Jewish communities, like in Berlin, and a large variety of educational programs, which try to meet the growing demand of Jewish education. The rising amount of rabbinical ordinations is also a proof for that. In all these domains, primarily young Russian-speaking Jews are involved in institutional growth and in development, either directly or indirectly. They also take part in shaping the programs. Quite a few of this young generation decide to turn towards a religious Jewish lifestyle and become so-called returnees or Baalei Tshuva. They experience an enormous process of religious transformation while they perform a religious Jewish lifestyle according to more or less halachic standards. This varies. It is striking that such religious transformation of young migrants mainly occur within Orthodox organizations like the Ronald S. Lauder Foundation. Studies of the Lauder Midrasha, a religious boarding school for women in Berlin, document that. So by saying this, the idea of exclusively secular-oriented Russian Jewish migrants is disproven. The phenomenon of turning to religion is, compared with the totality of young Russian-speaking Jews in Germany, an exceptional case. What then, would you ask, drives young, mostly secular-educated migrants to become religious within quite firm normative frameworks? How do these people actually develop profound religious Jewish self-perceptions? So let's have a look at the Midrasha of the Lauder organization. My focus lies on a biography of a young Russian-speaking woman who became religious within the Midrasha. In the following, I will examine the process of religious evolvement of this one former student. Based on her biography, it will be evident how the institutional system of religious norms shapes the woman's Jewish self-perception and her daily life up until today. The woman adopts this system of norms due to her migration-based period of orientation and the identity-forming program offered by the institution. Why would one concentrate on women, would you ask? Women have always played a major role in traditional Jewish life. Traditionally, they are assigned a role as housewives, as those who keep the house kosher, who are in charge of central holiday rituals, such as lighting candles and preparing a festive meal, and those who transmit a Jewish education to their children in a different way than their husbands. With this central role they are assigned, traditional living women can be regarded as leaders or as multipliers of this Jewish concept. So first of all, I will present the Lauder Midrasha, which is one of many facilities of the Lauder community. Then I will analyze a religious passage of one former student who became a so-called leader. Finally, I will relate her biography to the institutional purpose and towards the meaning of Jewish education for a sustainable Jewish life. Back in 2001, Germany's first religious educational institution for Jewish women opened its doors in Frankfurt am Main. Until today, it is the only nationwide school for Jewish women which commits itself to advanced religious Jewish education. Funded by the American Ronald S. Lauder Foundation, the school has an affiliated boarding home for the students. During its first 5 years of existence, it has attracted more than 100 interested young women, mainly Russian-speaking, from all over Germany. In 2006, the organization decided to move the Midrasha to Berlin, mainly for pragmatic and financial reasons, and also in order to help flourish Jewish life in the capital. Since then, the Lauder community has grown constantly, and dozens of women have completed a religious education at the Midrasha. There, at this Midrasha, Russian Jewish women learn the traditional Jewish concept of life, or let's say the gendered way of thinking and living. Hence, the Midrasha is a very good example to show young women's transformation processes. As the only religious Jewish boarding school in Germany, it offers a unique program that seems to meet the needs of many girls and women. The women participate due to various reasons. Due to the motive to learn more about their Jewish roots, due to peer group identification, and also often due to the need for so-called Jewish authenticity, or the real thing, which many actually see in Orthodox organizations and Orthodox Judaism. Currently, about 20 young women study at the Midrashah. The students between the age of 16 and 27 years of age usually stay for about 1 year in order to acquire a deep understanding for the Jewish belief system and also to learn Hebrew. They have 2 tracks to choose from, a part-time or half-time and a full-time study program. Daily life in the boarding school is shaped by the experience and practice of learned piety, including collective study of religious sources, as well as holiday celebrations all together. The teaching staff is composed of rabbis and the teachers are male and female, who represent the Orthodox way of life. Partially, they are also recruited out of the pool of students. It is very easy to recognize this. The teachers, considered as Jewish authority, are meant to function as a model in order to construct Jewish religious identities. According to the institutional purpose, the women are supposed to be educated to become Jewish leaders. What does this mean, actually? They shall eventually lead so-called authentic Jewish lives within a religious community and also transmit the learned concept as role model to others, either as wives, as mothers, and as employed Jewish women. The role the students are demanded to affiliate with is very, very clearly cut, and I cite here from the institutional homepage. Quote, "Whether our young, exceptional women become teacher, perform a traditional role of women, pursue a career, or all together, once they exit the Midrashah, they will be outstanding role models in Germany and worldwide." End of quote. The function of a role model is interesting regarding the Russian-speaking students. About 80 to 85% of the Midrashah students migrated from the former Soviet Union with their families. For them, the institutional purpose has a particularly useful and identity-constructing meaning. It allows the students to be part of a like-minded community with very guiding structures. These are essential factors for people in a period of self-identification and orientation. Migration research illustrates that the need for self-positioning is particularly high for people who experience a relocation, like a migration. Religious orientation can be only one of many important sources for self-location. Hence, the ideal candidate of the Midrashah is described with the attributes of, and I quote, "educated, independent, and disciplined young woman who strives not only for professional success, but also for spiritual and religious development." Now the question is actually, how do these young Russian Jewish women turn towards religious Jewish life? Let's have a look at one example. Pnina was one of the ideal candidates, you would call her, for the Midrashah, disposing appropriate leadership attributes, as I will show. She was born in St. Petersburg and moved to Germany in 1998, by the age of 15. As many other young migrants, only in the host country, in Germany, she had the chance to get to know her Jewish roots thoroughly. What was decisive for her to learn about Judaism were seminars organized by the Lauder Foundation, where she acquired Jewish knowledge and strengthened her Jewish awareness. Before that, Pnina had already led the Jewish Community Youth Center in Leipzig. Soon she became discontent with the level of knowledge that was stagnating more and more. Since the local infrastructure of Jewish education was insufficient for her, as she told, she decided to move to Frankfurt and start her Midrashah study. Driven by her thirst for knowledge, she spent 3 years there, parallel to her university study. You have to know that the average time of study, or the average length of study, is actually 1 year. Retrospectively, Pnina describes this period of time as very positive and productive. Besides her role as a student, Pnina was assigned the position of a madricha, a counselor for the younger students. It was her duty and responsibility to guide the girls to keep the standard of kashrut in the boarding school kitchen. This was a matter of heart for her, since she observed the kashrut laws herself and was eager in assisting others in her religious progress. Already at this stage in her religious life, she adopted the role of a leader, which appeared to stay very significant in her future life. Furthermore, Pnina started to organize also an educational program for adults at the Lauda Midrasha. This resulted in the founding of a unique project for young Jews in Germany, in Frankfurt actually, which is called Jewish Experience. Here, students and employed people can participate in weekly religious learning programs. In her last year at the Midrasha, Pnina had to prepare for her university exams. Hence, she decided to move out and minimize her, as she called, 24-hour job she had there. She continued her adopted religious lifestyle in the dormitory, but had to make compromises. In order to keep her standard, she needed kitchen utensils and also hot plates. After convincing the dormitory's management of its necessity, she was allowed to place it in the shared kitchen. Her religious lifestyle was restricted by the logistical effort and the missing supportive community, she told me. So she had to find pragmatic solutions. For example, keeping Shabbat. This was only possible at friends' houses, which were located nearby the synagogue she usually used to go. The other option was that she drove to her family over the weekend. All in all, Pnina describes her life among non-Jewish students as unbelievable experience in a positive sense. For the first time in her life, she had to position herself towards people who were not like-minded, and she started to reflect on her self-identification and also develop an increased self-awareness. Retrospectively, Pnina describes the atmosphere at the Midrasha as closed, since it did not give her the space for self-perception and perception by others. Pnina says that by implementing a religious system of norms in a like-minded community, the Midrasha actually promotes a seemingly hermetic cosmos. Today, Pnina is married to a Russian-speaking Jew who himself turned to Orthodox Judaism in recent years, and is a mother of 2 children. It is striking how her choice for a partner was the result of the learned religious concepts and the system of norms at the Midrasha. She tells that she was looking for a husband who has a job, who pursues religious studies, and who is dedicated to lead a halachic life. Pnina saw these attributes Pnina saw these attributes exemplified by her religious teachers, which she then internalized for her own understanding of a partnership. Today, Pnina and her husband lead a kosher household and keep a high kosher standard. They do it in Frankfurt. They live in Frankfurt. Shabbat and all the other Jewish holidays are celebrated in the circle of family and friends. Besides her role as a mother, she is highly involved in the Jewish Experience project that she founded a few years ago. It originated out of the need for more Jewish life in her city. A few like-minded people joined Pnina, and together they created the structure for, as she said, real learning in a religious framework. Consequently, she said, it is possible for people to experience Judaism and to find their links. This goal seems to be very fruitful among the mostly Russian-speaking participants, Pnina believes. When I asked her whether the Jewish Experience Project helped these participants to generate a religious consciousness, she answered with a satisfied voice, "We probably supported the religious people to stay religious." Although the project management is divided upon all on the board, Pnina seems to be the front woman. She utilizes her wide knowledge and competence that she acquired at the Midrasha with regard to organizational know-how, to program development, and the acquisition of speakers within the Orthodox Jewish domain. She understands her work more as vocation than as a job, fully identifies with it, and invests all her time and zeal. She says, "My husband and I, we breathe Jewish experience, wake up and go to bed with it." It is obvious that the role of a multiplier is of great personal satisfaction for Pnina. She internalized this meaningful and energy-refilling function, as she calls it herself, already back in her Midrasha years. Equipped with these leadership qualities, she continues to develop her religious Jewish knowledge and expertise on a professional and personal level, and by mediating this to the participants and also her own children. In addition, by continuing to study religious sources, she strives to own spiritual progress herself. In Germany, she says, she found her new home. Pnina has turned to religious Judaism in the context of the Midrasha. This is clear. By moving in, she experienced an enormous conversion of her Jewish self-perception. The once internalized religious modes of conduct, thinking, and system of norms influence her Jewish self-image and daily life up until this day, yet in an adapted way. She obtains much satisfaction of her faith and role as leader and acts according to the institutional purpose to become a leader. In most cases, as I found out in my research, a turn towards Orthodox Judaism commences in the Midrasha and remains, in transformed ways, after moving out of the Midrasha. The students cultivate various Orthodox identities and show leadership qualities in their different roles they take in. The majority of them continues their religious learning, either on an individual basis or within an institutional framework. Today, the vision of the former Midrasha director is realized. In many places in Germany, young Midrasha alumni determine Jewish communal life. They assist many unaffiliated, secular, or liberal Jews in finding their links to Jewish self-images. This happens in many communities in Germany by means of religious classes and seminars for all ages, and also by counseling and guiding the members. The Lauder community provided its leaders with a universal resource, education. Jewish education plays a significant role with regard to the creation of a stable community with collectively shared values. For Russian Jewish migrants, this is very meaningful. As teachers, as rabbis, or as project managers, and with their own migration context, they can respond to the needs of community members in a very sensitive manner. This promising young generation, like Pnina is embodying it, is significantly involved in shaping a viable Jewish life in Germany. I come to my conclusion. Today, Jewish life, secular and religious, flourishes in Germany again. This is due to the migration wave whose effects are still perceivable, almost 25 years after it commenced. We are in a dynamic period of revitalization and pluralization in Germany. New synagogues and community centers are constructed, rabbis are ordained within the progressive and the Orthodox Jewish streams, and plenty of cultural and educational events are being held. New institutions spring up that try to meet the demands for people together, for their need for Jewish education and experience. I want to give two very current examples. Just 2 weeks ago, actually, the Central Council for Jews in Germany, der Zentralrat der Juden in Deutschland, held a kick-off event for the newly founded education department that will eventually establish Germany's first Jewish academy. Last summer, in 2012, Jewish students from the liberal Abraham Geiger Kolleg and the University of Potsdam found a new forum for students, for Jewish students to meet, Germany's first Beit Hillel, Hillel House. All these heterogeneous initiatives show how vivid and how self-confident Jewish life in Germany is and the desire to consolidate it. But what is remarkable here? Russian-speaking Jews play an important role in paving the ground for such a sustainable Jewish life. Especially the young generation of religious Russian Jews defines the factors for a lasting Jewish community. This I tried to show with Pnina's biography, who is only one of many migrants with so-called leadership features and a very universal tool, Jewish education. They use this tool, this source, to assist and to educate others. They all revive and strengthen Jewish communal life in Germany in this way or the other. Yet, a lot needs to be changed. Russian Jews are still not very welcome on leading positions inside the Jewish communities in Germany. It is actually a pity that key figures of German Jewish life who were invited chose not to join this conference. They should finally acknowledge that young Russian Jews are already actively involved and strive for even higher goals. The future lies in their hands. Thank you very much.